You've been underestimated, overlooked, and targeted by those who thought they could define your worth. But let me tell you something. They have no idea who they're dealing with. You're not just anyone. You're chosen, forged in strength, and shielded by forces they can't even comprehend. Every setback they tried to throw your way was just fuel for your comeback. You are the storm they never saw coming, the light they could never extinguish, and the proof that no one can take what was divinely meant for you. So stand tall, because this is your moment to rise, to reclaim your power, and to remind the world exactly why you're unstoppable. The maneuvers were not mere missteps, but calculated strikes, wielded with precision to unmake your stability. They targeted your resources with cunning persistence, yet every attempt to extract from you became an anchor that dragged their schemes deeper into failure. They wove a tapestry of ill wishes against your well-being, yet the threads of their malevolence twisted back to bind their own vitality. They sought to shatter your resolve, but instead it is their own ambitions now caged in the ruins of their intent. Every action resonates, echoing through unseen currents and returning to its source. The force they unleashed did not dissolve. It surged back, magnified by the intent behind it. The harm they aimed outward circled back as an inescapable tide, because malice acts like a current. It carries its bearer downstream. Their vision of you as a fragile adversary crumbled as your trials tempered you into unyielding strength. While they inadvertently crafted their own downfall, your resilience was a testament not to retaliation, but to the inevitable cycles of justice. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1:5. Picture a candle in a dark room, its flame unwavering despite the shadows pressing in. That's you, a beacon of divine purpose, untouchable and unmoved by the schemes of those who sought to harm you. Their efforts, no matter how calculated, were like hands trying to snuff out the light, only to burn themselves in the attempt. What they unleashed to destroy you circled back with a force they couldn't control. The tools of their malice became their undoing, turning on them with relentless precision. Their strength faded not as a gradual decline, but as a sudden collapse, their ambitions crushed beneath the weight of the very chaos they summoned. Trapped in the labyrinth of their choices, they faced the undeniable truth. You are chosen, shielded, and victorious. Their downfall begins not with a loud crash, but with a quiet unraveling, as the once unshakable structure of their life disintegrates before their eyes. The position they clung to so tightly erodes like sand slipping through clenched fists, leaving nothing but the hollow remnants of their influence. The illusions they crafted dissolve, each thread of deception unraveling into emptiness. Their wealth, amassed with ill-gotten gains, collapses as if consumed by an unseen abyss, leaving them grappling with the void they themselves created. What they saw as their triumph becomes their undoing, as the forces they sought to manipulate return, demanding recompense with merciless precision. The web of their schemes, once thought to be a masterwork, becomes the very trap in which they are ensnared. In their pursuit to orchestrate another's ruin, they wove the threads of their own demise. Every action, every plan, every step taken in arrogance and malice forged the cage now closing in around them. The tools they fashioned for destruction turned to dust in their hands, leaving them vulnerable to the inescapable consequence of their deeds. The balance they dismissed now holds them in its grip, unwavering and impartial, delivering the justice they so desperately sought to avoid. Their collapse is not merely a tragedy, but a reckoning, a mirror reflecting the weight of their own intent. When individuals driven by shared greed and malice gather, their collective ambition becomes a force they believe will shield them from the repercussions of their actions. They conspire in the shadows, whispering plans they think are foolproof, pooling their venom into a single aim: to dismantle what they cannot claim as their own. Their collaboration feels potent, as if multiplying their intentions would ensure their success. Yet, they overlook a fundamental truth. The greater the collective intent, the more devastating the consequences. The burden of their combined actions amasses like a storm cloud, dark and unyielding, ready to burst with unforgiving force. Their alliance, built on deception, becomes their undoing. They perceive strength in numbers, yet their unity only binds them to a shared collapse. The energy they directed outward rebounds with unstoppable momentum, scattering their fragile facade. As their deceit spirals, it tightens into a web that ensnares them all, leaving no one untouched. When reckoning comes, it sweeps through their group indiscriminately, tearing apart their bonds like a tidal wave, collapsing their foundation with the weight of their own design. They constructed their house with lies and ambition, but such a structure was always destined to fall. Their alliance was brittle, held together by self-interest and fear, and the first crack unleashed a cascade of betrayals. Each member's attempt to escape only hastened the ruin of the others, turning their once coordinated effort into chaos. In the end, they were not torn apart by an external force, but by the very fragility of the connections they thought unbreakable. What began as a united front crumbled into infighting and despair, leaving them to face the inescapable judgment of their actions. Step into your potential. Subscribe now and let's create something extraordinary. Murmurs grew into a cacophony, and the truths they sought to bury surfaced like echoes in a hollow chamber. The conspiracies they forged became daggers turned inward, severing bonds that once held their fragile alliance together. As desperation mounted, betrayal festered, each one casting the other aside in a futile attempt to escape the consequences of their design. But the reckoning was inescapable. Their solidarity dissolved into fragments, their hidden motives exposed under an unrelenting light. The very force they channeled outward reversed its course, consuming them with a ferocity they couldn't control. What they mistook for strength was their greatest weakness, unraveling in a storm of mistrust and vengeance. Justice operates with a relentless precision, dismantling all it touches without prejudice or delay. When they aligned themselves with chaos, they forged a bond they could not sever, a debt that demanded full restitution. The universe's balance does not sway, it cuts cleanly, sparing no accomplice from its reach. Collective energy acts as a conflagration. When wielded with harmful intent, it grows uncontrollably, devouring all in its path. Yet they underestimated its nature, failing to see that the same force would turn on them with amplified repercussions. Their belief in control was their greatest folly, for darkness answers to no master, consuming not only its target, but also its summoners, leaving nothing but ashes in its wake. Their schemes, born from selfish ambition and held together by mutual mistrust, were as unstable as a house built on sand. They believed their combined efforts made them formidable, but darkness, by its nature, turns inward, feeding on its own architects. The chaos they unleashed mirrored their intentions, dismantling their alliance from within. The forces they summoned, intended to dominate, instead consumed them one by one, unraveling their fragile unity. Their betrayal became their reflection, an unforgiving reminder that destruction begets destruction. The unyielding principles of universal balance ensured that what they sowed in shadows returned to claim its due. In chasing control, they became prisoners of the very chaos they unleashed. Your energy was their obsession, a power they could not replicate nor comprehend. Its resonance transcended their reach, vibrating on a plane aligned with higher truth. Your presence exposed their darkness, illuminating the hollow foundations of their plots. What infuriated them most was your effortless alignment. The blessings you received were not seized, but flowed naturally, a testament to the harmony between your purpose and the unseen forces guiding you. They envied the way life unfolded in your favor, untouched by the coercion they relied upon. Yet, the price of their ambition was steep, for dark forces demand repayment far beyond what they can give. They sought what was never theirs to claim, believing they could barter for the essence that sets you apart. It wasn't merely your talents or successes they coveted, but the spark of divinity that animates your being. Their attempts to capture and exploit it mirrored the greed of those who overreach and pay dearly. In seeking to control what was sacred, they failed to recognize an immutable law. No force can sever what is bound to a higher purpose. The energy they tried to possess became their undoing, for the price of tampering with the divine always exceeds the limits of ambition. The light they sought to extinguish only shone brighter as their own shadows consumed them. Their ambition became their undoing, a hunger they could not sate and a weight they could not bear. The universe demanded balance for their transgressions, and having nothing to offer of equal value, they unknowingly gave up their very essence. What they sought to possess was far beyond their reach, protected by forces they neither understood nor respected. They saw only the brilliance of your blessings, mistaking them for treasures to be seized, ignorant of the sacred nature that shields them. They didn't realize that what you carry is not a prize to be won, but an unyielding connection to something eternal, chosen and unassailable. In chasing your light, they stumbled into their own abyss. Your radiance, a testament to your purpose, is a mantle only you were meant to bear. They tried to claim it as if it were a trophy, but the weight of its responsibility crushed them beneath the enormity of their greed. Their attempt to breach the sanctuary of your being unleashed forces they could not control. The power they sought to wield turned against them, consuming them utterly, leaving no trace of their ambition but ashes. Justice is unwavering in its precision. What they sought to take became the fire that scorched their empire, leaving them with nothing but the ruins of what they had built and the loss of what they had hoped to become. The reckoning came swiftly, silent, yet absolute. They stood before the unseen forces of truth, weighed not by their intent, but by the deeds they tried to conceal. Their hearts, burdened by deceit and envy, were heavier than the forces of harmony they attempted to defy. The measure of their actions was unrelenting, reflecting the balance they sought to disrupt. Dragged down by the weight of their corruption, they faced a truth they could not escape. Their time was over, their ambitions dissolved, and the forces they invoked stood as a testament to the justice they sought to avoid. The judgment was not cruel, only exact, leaving them to endure the consequences of their own making. Now is the time to share God's blessings by clicking the super thank you button on YouTube. You can contribute to His plan and be part of this divine mission with a donation of $100 or more. Every gift reflects God's generosity, and I believe it will come back to you exponentially, far beyond your expectations. Remember, His protection and blessings are on your every step and every donation. You become part of His divine plan. You are a strong, radiant being, unshakable as His mighty rock. Witness God's miracles, feel the fruits of your generosity in your soul, and illuminate the world with confidence and courage. Be blessed and let the light of the Lord guide your path. Their actions, veiled in secrecy, have been laid bare. The truth they buried beneath layers of lies and shadows now rises unbidden, echoing like an undeniable rhythm. No facade could mask the weight of their guilt. It resonates, a silent force that grows louder with every passing moment. Their deeds, once concealed, now cast a glaring light on their darkest intentions. What they carried, envy, deceit, and malice, has become their own judge and jury, pulling them toward a reckoning they cannot escape. The universe offers no shelter for such weight. It tips the balance, delivering a justice they summoned through their own hand. Darkness, by its nature, is relentless. Those who summon it, imagining themselves its master, become entangled in a force that recognizes no loyalty, no agreements, no mercy. They believe themselves in control, their grasp on shadows steady and firm. But darkness holds no alliances. It consumes indiscriminately, and those who beckon it are merely fodder for its insatiable appetite. Their power play became their undoing. In seeking to wield destruction, they became its first victims, discarded as tools no longer needed. What they thought they could manipulate turned its teeth inward, feeding on their arrogance and leaving only remnants of their ambition. Don't hold back. Embrace your potential. Subscribe now, and let's ignite the future together. The same forces they intended to unleash against you turned their wrath upon them. Chaos is a double-edged current, cutting through both its target and its originator. What they conjured could not be contained, and as the threads of their plans unraveled, they were left exposed, hollowed by the very energy they sought to command. Believing they could bind an uncontrollable force, they underestimated its nature. Now, their lives stand in ruin, consumed by the very chaos they thought they could steer. Darkness never lingers as an ally. It devours, leaving nothing but emptiness and echoes. Their fall was inevitable, because you remain untouchable, and they underestimated the power of your light. No weapon that is formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise against you in judgment thou shalt condemn. Isaiah 54:17. Imagine a lighthouse standing firm against the crashing waves, its light unyielding in the face of a raging storm. That is you, divinely anchored, unmovable, shining with a brilliance that no tempest of malice can dim. Those who rise against you are like the ocean beating against the rock, believing their persistence can wear it down. But instead, they find themselves broken, scattered, and consumed by the very forces they thought they controlled. You are surrounded by an impenetrable fortress, built not by human hands, but by the hand of the Almighty. It is a shield, woven from divine promises, stronger than steel, and more radiant than gold. Every plan, every scheme they set against you shatters before it even reaches you, like arrows meeting an invisible barrier, falling harmlessly to the ground. Their venom, their malice, their determination to tear you down is powerless against the protection that surrounds you. What they intended for harm has been turned into a shield, reflecting their attacks back onto them with a force they could not anticipate. Now those who once conspired in secret are trapped in the very web they spun. Their ambitions, once so bold, have become a heavy burden they cannot carry. They thought they could outwit divine power, that their cunning and schemes could overpower what is unshakable. But the truth is this: their efforts have only led them into confusion and chaos. They now live in the prison of their own making, tormented by the consequences of their actions. Their minds are no longer places of strategy and ambition, but of fear and regret. They hear the weight of their guilt in the silence of the night, their sleep stolen by the heavy price of their misdeeds. Every plan they made has turned on them, every bond they forged in malice now broken under the weight of betrayal. They see enemies where there are none, and the alliances they thought would bring them strength now crumble into dust. They did not understand the cost of the darkness they summoned. The forces they sought to wield were never theirs to command. What they tried to unleash against you has turned inward, consuming them like a fire that cannot be extinguished. Their anger, their envy, their hatred have become the instruments of their destruction. The blade they sharpened for you now cuts them, carving through their plans, their unity, and their strength. But you, chosen one, remain untouched. You are proof of God's promises fulfilled, a living testimony to the power of divine protection. You don't just survive, you thrive, standing taller and stronger than ever. Where they hoped to see you fall, you have risen. Where they wanted to see ashes, there is only beauty. The light within you shines brighter than their darkest schemes, and that light cannot be dimmed because it is not of this world. Let their downfall be a reminder of this truth. No plan formed against the righteous can succeed. No attack on the chosen will prevail. Your destiny is secure, your purpose unstoppable, and your inheritance eternal. You are not just protected, you are victorious, standing firm in the unshakable fortress of divine favor. This is your time to walk in your power, knowing that every storm has only revealed the strength of the rock beneath your feet. Their defeat was written from the start. Every step of their plot was a thread in a tapestry that would ultimately ensnare them. They envisioned you broken, isolated, and defeated, crushed beneath the weight of their schemes. They sought to steal your vitality, hoping to watch as the burdens they placed upon you drained your spirit and extinguished your light. But their arrogance blinded them to the truth. What they aimed to destroy was shielded by a force they could never breach. The very essence of your purpose, untouched by their darkness, stood immovable, turning their every act of malice into the seeds of their own downfall. This is your moment. Subscribe now, and let's turn dreams into reality. Their attempts to harm you were as futile as throwing stones at an unyielding mountain. Every ounce of malice, every calculated blow was intercepted by an invisible force they could neither see nor overcome. The protective barrier surrounding you transformed their efforts into echoes, returning their venom with unerring precision. Traps designed to ensnare you instead became pits for their own downfall. You endured not through mere luck, but through the guidance of an unshakable purpose. You are not simply strong, you are unbreakable, safeguarded by a power that stands beyond their reach. Where they hoped to see ruin, they found resilience. Where they wished for your collapse, they witnessed your ascent. The collapse of their schemes stands as testament to the forces aligned in your favor. Their efforts faltered not because of oversight, but because no ill intent could penetrate the shield that guards you. The energy they conjured against you dispersed like mist before the morning sun, powerless to overcome the strength that surrounds you. Every attempt to weaken you only revealed their limitations. Their plots unraveled the moment they were conceived, their plans dismantled long before they could take effect. This was not a battle of equals. It was an inevitable defeat, for nothing they wielded could breach the strength of the unseen forces that sustain you. What they failed to comprehend was that their malice held no weight against a destiny fortified by something far greater than them. Their efforts were as fleeting as shadows cast on water, dissolving before they could take hold. They were not fighting against you, but against a purpose too vast for them to comprehend. No strategy, no maneuver could alter what was already written. They stumbled and fell, not because of missteps, but because their arrogance blinded them to the reality of their own powerlessness. Their failure was assured, for the shield that encircles you is immutable, and their actions only served to reinforce the truth. You cannot be touched. Feel what it truly means to be chosen. You're not alone on this journey. If deep down you feel that you're chosen, you've come to the right place. Take the next step in connecting with us, unlocking exclusive content, and receiving the support you need on your spiritual path by clicking the Join button. This isn't just about being part of a community. It's about accessing unique insights that can transform your life and bring you closer to your divine calling. Make the choice today and walk this journey with us. Claim your place among the chosen ones. Join now. Every failed attempt against you stands as undeniable proof of the divine strength surrounding you, an unseen force shielding you from harm. They came at you armed with envy and malice, crafting plans meant to unravel you, but each one disintegrated before it could reach its mark. Their schemes fell apart, like sand slipping through their fingers, leaving no trace but the evidence of their futility. This wasn't random chance. It was the precision of balance, ensuring that what was meant to harm you became the fuel for your growth. What they aimed to destroy only fortified you, turning every act of malice into a stepping stone on your path toward greater triumphs. Though opposition once loomed over you like an insurmountable storm, every obstacle they placed before you only strengthened your resolve. What they intended as setbacks became catalysts, pushing you higher and closer to your purpose. The burdens they hoped would break you transformed into the very foundation of your ascent. This is the nature of divine justice. It doesn't just protect, it transforms. For every challenge they thrust upon you, there is an equal and opposite reward waiting to unfold. What they plotted to take became an offering for your elevation, a testament to the unshakable foundation of your purpose and the invincibility of your destiny. Your victory was never in question. They sought to bargain for power, hoping to trade their fleeting ambitions against a purpose they couldn't comprehend, but their plans were always destined to fail. What they coveted was never within their grasp, protected by an authority they could neither negotiate with nor undermine. Their schemes, fragile and desperate, crumbled under the weight of forces they could not control. Each trap they set became the ladder that carried you higher, their malice crushed beneath the certainty of your unyielding path. Their downfall is not your concern. Your focus remains on the heights you are destined to reach. Every obstacle, every challenge, has only refined your strength, illuminating the favor that surrounds you and ensuring that your purpose remains unstoppable. They wage their battle with every tool at their disposal, but their efforts were destined to falter. Forces beyond their comprehension rendered their weapons ineffective, ensuring their failure before the fight began. The foundation of your purpose is not built on mortal plans, but on an unshakable decree, an eternal order that cannot be undone. Though their influence may have seemed strong, for a fleeting moment, it crumbled under the weight of justice as what was meant to harm you turned into your victory. You stand as proof that light cannot be extinguished by darkness, no matter how fiercely it tries to encroach. Where they sought to undermine you, you rise with unmatched strength. Their collapse is but a shadow of the abundance that surrounds you, a reflection of the futile nature of their schemes. What they thought was your undoing became the fertile ground for your growth. While they were consumed by their own greed and malice, you embraced a purpose that elevates you beyond their reach. Their fall is not a loss, but a reminder that no act of ill will can stand against a destiny forged by divine intent. Life and abundance flow through you, unyielding and radiant, while their paths dissolve into oblivion. Your triumph is not just survival, but the declaration of something far greater. Each step forward is a testament to the power that shields you, a light so brilliant it cannot be dimmed by envy or hate. The story you carry is a beacon, a guide for others to witness the boundless reach of unseen forces working in your favor.